Two people who would never participate in free birthing because they like drugs too much? You are listening to them. Today, we are going to break down the free birthing phenomenon and all the crazy fuckery The Guardian discovered from their latest investigation. I'm Maggie Gelson Burnett.
And I'm Mallory Hagan. This is Pretty Furious.
Did you like that cold open?
Did we like drugs too much?
Yeah, you would never catch me free birthing, but we'll talk about what that actually means. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people
I'm like,
think
what does that even mean? I'm here to learn
Yeah.
from you, Maggie.
Free birthing is not the same as home birthing, is what I've discovered. So we'll get into the nitty gritty of that. But some general housekeeping. If you're not following us, what the fuck are you doing?
What
Go
are
follow
you
us.
doing? Speaking of
It's
following, Maggie, your Instagram's blowing up. I'm so
Thanks,
proud of you.
girl. Thank you so much. Finally.
You are getting it over on Insta. I love to see it. Yeah, if you guys
Thank you
aren't
so
following us, we're
much.
at Pretty Furious Pod, and we also have a website where you can find all that information, prettyfuriouspod.com. So if you don't know where to go, go there, and then it'll take you to where all the other places you need to be.
Perfect. If you don't know where to go there and
Go
you'll find
there.
where you need to be.
Really, really clear instructions.
Perfect. Perfect. Mallory, it's been a couple of weeks and you can't be pretty furious without being pretty first. Do you have a product you'd like to share?
Well, does anyone notice any changes that are transpiring?
Flips hair.
My product this week is actually brought to you by Wella Professional Hair Care. I am the queen of really hating to get my hair done. So I
Fully.
love being blonde and I feel most like myself when I'm blonde. However, getting to the salon to be blonde is a challenge. And so this past week, I went to a Sally Beauty Supply. Hey girl, hey. And I had my mother apply a demi-permanent gloss to my hair so we can make it through the holidays without getting highlights. And
I love it.
if you are looking for an at-home solution, Wella products are pretty easy to navigate. So highly recommend. That's my product this week. What about you?
Yeah, your hair looks fabulous. As usual.
I do
I
think there's always a minute after I change my hair color in whichever direction where I'm like, wait, how do I do my makeup for this hair color?
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
I'm still there considering the fact that I actually don't wear makeup at all anymore. So we'll get there. But yeah.
Cool. I love it.
What about you?
My product is the La Roche-Posay. It's the B5 Cicaplast spray. This is what it looks like. So I used this in the like gel form originally I'll use it during the winter months when my skin gets really dry. It is, if you have skin barrier problems, if you have dry skin, if you have combo skin, if you are somebody who gets really flaky in the winter, this is the best product I could possibly give. It is, I think it's basically like, I want to say it's kind of it doesn't have it inside of it, but like it almost is akin to like petroleum, but it doesn't feel as slimy. Like it
Okay.
dries down really nice. So that's why I love the gel for my face. This I use on my body. So like I just spray it all over my body and then use it underneath a lotion. So that way my skin doesn't get dry. It's not itchy. Yeah.
Oh, I need to get
So
some of that.
it's
Yeah,
amazing.
we're in that phase of like we just brought out the humidifier and
Yeah.
our house is unbalanced. We have to call the HVAC folks, but it's like freezing in one room and it's 100 degrees in
Oh,
another room, and we're just trying to figure it all out. Also, it should be noted that we have baby head today, and also therefore baby baby breathing. So if you hear Bart breathing into the microphone, this is just the only option for recording right
if
now.
you hear a baby, no, you didn't.
Yeah, he's
Like
cooing. He's breathing loud. He's
he's very sweet.
though. He fell asleep.
That is a little baby. Oh my
Look at that.
goodness.
He's got his
He
pacifier
is
like this.
so cute. So small.
He's so tiny still. But yeah. Oh, I need to really try that. I think that would be really
Yeah.
cool, especially on my body.
And I feel like with the spray, like, I mean, I've never tried this, but I feel like you could just spray it on your face. Like I don't really see the difference between like
Is
doing
it
that and
meant for
using.
body or is there a
No,
reason?
not necessarily. It just says like helps repair skin barriers. So I think you could really use it anywhere. I just
Yeah.
happen to use it on my body. So, yeah, there you have it.
It has been a couple of weeks, and many things have made me furious. Tell me what's made you pretty furious in the past couple of weeks.
I just feel like anytime we take time off, I'm like, okay, what is my, I'll play Russian roulette and just like go down the list and see what I pick today that pissed me off. It's just constant. But for me, not necessarily a headline per se, but a definite story that is newsworthy. Adriana Smith, the woman who was essentially kept as a human incubator in Atlanta. She was declared brain dead and was pregnant. They kept her on life support so that she could, so that her fetus could be delivered. He was delivered prematurely. Obviously, he's now going on 6 or 7 months in the NICU. His name is Chance, and he's about 11 pounds. He is now being transferred from the hospital where Adriana passed away at to a different hospital with better resources to support him. However, the kind of big caveat being that her family is incurring all of the medical costs associated with his NICU stay and with being transferred to this new hospital. So, certainly worth mentioning. They still have not hit their GoFundMe goal. I believe they've bumped it up a couple of times. So I believe their GoFundMe goal right now is set at about 600 grand. They're at about 92% to that goal. So if you are interested in donating, I do have the GoFundMe link linked on my link tree. So you can go to my Instagram and you can find it there, or my TikTok. Or you can just search Adriana Smith GoFundMe and it will be like the first thing that pops up on Google. So please consider donating. Her family has certainly been through the
Enough.
ringer in terms of all of this. Yeah, uh I can't believe that hospital did what they did. Adriana worked there as an employee. And I just really can't believe this scenario at all. And now her family is left to kind of pick up the pieces from it all. So so yeah, please consider donating. But that is kind of the update that has made me very sad, but also pretty furious about our healthcare system and how we treat women. So,
Yeah, I think it also needs to be mentioned that her family was not given a choice in the matter. So
correct.
not only were they
Hmm.
not given a choice in the matter, now they're left to care for an infant
Hmm.
and pay for the stay in the
That's
hospital.
right.
So just all around, really, really ridiculous scenario. And us talking about this just now, when we consider, and we're beating a dead horse of just all the insanity that this administration has done and caused, and just Republican policy in general. But think about how much we were talking about women's reproductive rights last year as we embarked on November for the election, and so much has happened that I feel like these stories, the stories of Adriana and other women, there's a woman who recently passed away in Texas because
I
she
saw that.
couldn't get care. I mean, these stories are so far down in the headlines and the insanity that is transpiring. It's just really unfortunate that we have lost rights as
Yeah.
women, and that's not even in the top 10 list of things that's being discussed on the news on a daily basis.
Yeah. That's so true.
Duh. That actually reminds me of something that the Skim shared not long ago. I don't know who did the poll, so forgive me for not bringing you that information, but it says nearly 40% of women aged 15 to 44 say they would move abroad permanently if they had the opportunity. So 15 to 44% say they would move abroad permanently, and only 19% of men expressed the same desire. So that's just where we're at. And I would like for
Gee,
you to
wonder
add me.
why.
I wasn't polled, but add me to the fucking list.
Fully. I was emailing for like 2 years now when Roe v. Wade was overturned. I started emailing with this immigration law firm in Canada.
To figure out.
And yeah, and fully. And these poor people, about once every 6 months, I send them an email and I'm like, hey guys, circling back, what's the process again?
Isn't that
And they're
crazy?
like,
I
please,
actually
bitch.
I actually have multiple friends who have moved to Portugal.
Oh, no shit. Oh my
Like
God.
straight up started the process in preparation for another Trump presidency. And when
Hmm.
he won, they said, and go. Sold their properties, sold everything, picked up, moved to Portugal, living their best lives. Shout out to Patrick and Kathy.
That's amazing. I think that's like the easiest place to go on like a visa for Americans.
So it was. And they had such an influx of Americans that they have since changed their immigration
They're
policy.
like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want
They're
any more
like,
of y'all.
no, thank you. But yeah, so that's just crazy. I mean, the fact that, like, I'm just circling back to it. Our reproductive rights have been on the line, have been on the chopping block. Women are suffering the consequences on a regular basis, and they're scared of
Yeah.
pregnancy. They're scared of, how they'll be treated in that process. And as we both know, it's even worse for women of color.
Yeah.
So, oh, well, I hope that made everybody else pretty furious too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, take your extra money this holiday season and instead of going to Amazon, go to that GoFundMe. So, what is your headline?
So, the thing that's transpired since we were last here that has made me pretty furious is, well, first of all, we saw the Congress people who have served in our nation's armed forces in some capacity call for our nation's military to deny unlawful orders. And I think that that was a really poignant reminder for people who serve in the military that they do have the option
Hmm.
to, to deny doing something that's unlawful. And since then, the behavior from our president calling for those people in Congress to essentially be taken care of is pretty wild. And I just want to point out the reason I bring this up is because that in and of itself is enough to make you crazy. But the hypocrisy of then Pete Hegseth going and ordering an unlawful order in Venezuela, in the Caribbean, and I just, to me, it's like there is no line for this administration, and
No.
I think it's been really interesting to see Mark Kelly's star rise in this moment.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of
Um,
opinion pieces about whether or not he should actually be the Secretary of Defense. I'm sorry, the Secretary of War. Um,
Secretary of
so
War. Shut the fuck up. That is the
yeah.
dumbest fucking name.
I think it's just like living with a person who's in the military and hearing behind the scenes sort of how people feel, the morale, all of that.
Yeah.
This whole scenario with our Congress people, Venezuela, all of it. It's just like they are doing things that are illegal.
Yeah.
That if any Democratic president or any Democratic administration, you know, basically said finish them, that would be enough for Republicans across the country to lose their minds. And yet here
Yeah.
we are watching it happen in real time. I don't know if those people are innocent or not, and we'll never know because we didn't go through the correct process. So,
Yeah. Does Kevin, I'm curious if Kevin has like worked with, or if you feel, comfortable sharing this, if Kevin has like worked with or been around any service members who maybe did vote for Trump for a second term and are now kind of going back on that support or are now saying, "Oh, I regret it," or, anything like that.
hmm. Um, from what I can gather, no.
Hmm.
From what I can gather, and
Fascinating.
it's really taboo in the military and in the defense industry in general.
Hmm.
He's not actually surrounded by a lot of military members. He's surrounded
Right.
by contractors, but it's really, really uncommon for people to actually talk about politics in that way.
Yeah.
But you can pick up bits and pieces of things, and from what I can gather, no, no.
Huh.
No,
Fascinating.
like as in no one, not in the first place. There was no one
Yeah.
who was supportive in the first place. So
Ah, I
I don't
see.
know.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Hope I
That's
didn't say
that's
hope I didn't say
so
too much.
so interesting to me. I see a lot of content on like shockingly on my like TikTok for you page from, former service members who will make videos, and they critique every single thing that Trump has done and that this administration has done. And I find it really fascinating to listen to their takes on it, just because so often we hear the opposite of, that, the kind of old trope of like all those servicemen and women support Trump and blah, 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 and which I know is not the case, but it's really interesting to hear from a service member's perspective. Like I would love to just like talk to Kevin and be like, so I have a lot of questions for you.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, and I
really
think,
interesting.
I think that's where there are people who are in the military right now, as you very well know, cannot say anything publicly that would
Right.
be very frowned upon. But there are a lot of veterans out there who are using their voices. One of them is Amy McGrath, who I work
Hmm.
with and for. Amy talks all the time about how this is not what she signed up to defend.
Yeah.
She signed up to defend the Constitution and to defend our democracy, and those things are at stake right now.
Yep.
And then there's like Chris and Dave, on
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
who they use the platforms that they have and their knowledge and their military experience to really speak out against this administration. And I think that's so important. And I hope it encourages other veterans to do the same.
Chris and Dave are a top three get for this show.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
would shit my pants if I got to interview Chris and
But do
Dave.
you know? But do
I
you
love
know what I
them.
want to do with them? I want them to give us a tour of their house.
It's the same. Oh my God. I love their home so much. Like every single, I literally went back on, this is so creepy. I went back on their Instagram and I was like, is there more house content buried in the, like, because I love their style. I love that they took this old, like, kind of Tudor style home and, like, kept a lot of the original character, all of that. I love it. So I'm like, could we get the house tour at some
Yes, I
point?
want a house tour and I would like a closet tour. I'm obsessed with her
Yes.
like printed pants.
Yes.
So I want to know what her glasses game looks like.
Yes. She's just an icon. Like,
So, Chris, if you're watching, we want to
if
talk to
you're
you about
hearing this.
politics. However, we would really love a house tour.
And we'll come to Michigan. Like, make no mistake. We
Sign me
would,
up.
no problem.
Maybe not until the spring,
Yeah.
because F that in the winter time. But other than that, yeah.
Anyway, so Mallory, I have to ask you, you don't know what free birthing is.
I do not. I do not.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Can you
interested to
can
learn.
you tell me what you think free birthing
Hmm.
is?
Maybe just like, maybe it's just going about your daily life and then the baby comes wherever it comes.
For sure.
Sounds like free bleeding.
A little
Like,
different,
you're just like,
but
put
kind
me in
of
the
the
kitchen.
same. A little bit different. So, we're going to talk about the free birthing movement today. So, The Guardian just released a huge, like 18-month long investigation into a company called FBS, which is the Free Birth Society. Now, free birthing, we'll start by kind of defining it. So, free birthing, I thought was similar to a home birth, and they are actually quite different. So, my oldest sister had a home birth with my second nephew. And at that home birth, there was a midwife present, who I believe also is like a nurse practitioner because of laws in the state of Iowa. Or there was a midwife there and there was a nurse practitioner, excuse me. So in the state of Iowa, you have to have somebody who's like a medical professional who assists the midwife. That is a home birth. A free birth is when no one with a medical background is in the room with you giving birth.
Why would
So
you do that?
you willingly choose to not have any medical intervention during your birth. And that applies basically across the board. So that applies post-birthing process, that applies to the baby, that applies to if you have preeclampsia, that applies to if the baby is breech, that applies to
That
any
sounds
or
like
all.
a death wish.
You would be correct on that. So, we're going to talk about this investigative piece that the Guardian did. So, like I said, Free Birth Society is kind of the organization that they really did a deep dive into. This was founded by a woman named Emily Saldaya, And I'm probably saying her name wrong, but basically this story was it's you have to go read it. It takes a while to read. It's a very lengthy piece, but it's absolutely exquisite. And the story opens with this woman who was a part of the Free Birth Society. She joined this group. She was involved in some of the courses that Emily offered. And basically, she was giving birth and she gave birth while her son was like they call it shoulder dystocia, I think.
Yep.
Is
Right.
that how
Your
you say it?
the shoulder
Yeah.
gets
And
caught.
it's like rubbing against like your vaginal canal essentially. And because of that, the cord also wrapped around his neck.
Mhm.
So,
I was gonna say it's
first,
really dangerous when that happens. I
really
actually
dangerous.
funny that you brought that particular scenario up with this story because I never watched TikTok lives ever.
Mm,
I scroll past the live every time. But I was randomly watching Jen Hamilton recently, and she was talking
yeah.
about very few times in her career where they have had to break the bone of a baby in order to
Yep.
get it out. And she
Hmm.
was like, obviously that's last resort, but we can heal a broken bone. We can't bring either of you back to life. Like,
Right.
she was like,
Yep.
that
Hmm.
serious when it happened. So I can't believe that's what happened. Okay. So cord
It's
wrapped around
very,
his neck.
very dangerous. Yeah. Very
Mhm.
dangerous, both for baby and for mom. So, this woman gives birth. The baby does eventually come out. He's not breathing. A kind of a key part of free birthing is that you don't if you are an observer and you're watching the birth happen, you don't intervene in any way. Like, so if the baby's not breathing, you're not going to give mouth to mouth or CPR. And so
I'm, s- hold on.
yeah, there's a lot of like quote
He even
rules.
turned his head. He was like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Part goes, what the fuck? No,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Also,
of
can you
like
just he was like holding on for dear life to this thing.
he doesn't
Um,
want to let it go.
he doesn't. Okay, I'm sorry. When we talk about abortion
Hmm.
and people have like how is this if you are outlawing abortion,
It should be
tell me
illegal. Mhm.
tell me how a free birth should be legal.
Should be absolutely illegal. And in
So no one can
it
intervene if something
it
is going
only
wrong?
gets worse.
Oh my
Or
God. Maggie.
they are encouraged to not intervene. So there's the Free Birth Society has a lot of rules associated with it. And these rules are kind of like both spoken and unspoken rules. So for example, medical intervention in a birth in any capacity, whether it means that you go to the hospital after you've given birth to be sure that everything is good, say that you get an ambulance because you are hemorrhaging and your baby is not doing well. All of those are considered essentially moral failures in the free birth society world.
This is a cult.
So girl, it is fully a cult. And I feel like basically, here's what I feel like. I feel like every episode where I do a deep dive, I'm basically just
Telling me about
talking to you
cults.
about a cult. I'm like, this should really just
You
be
know what,
like,
Maggie? I have said over and over again that we shouldn't do anything about Miss America, but if we're just going to get on the realm of cults, let's go, you know?
honestly, we should. So this woman that I mentioned who gives birth, her she has the shoulder issue with her son, the cords wrapped around his neck. He goes without oxygen for I want to say in the article they say like 20 minutes. Something crazy, which even a few minutes if you're unfamiliar with like how childbirth works and babies, even a few minutes can be life-threatening.
Sure.
So now the child is 3 years old. He is severely disabled. He is tube fed. He will never experience life as a quote normal 3-year-old would. So
My
the
God,
kind
you
of
should
like
have led with this. This is making me furious.
I know it's crazy. It's fucking nuts. And what I think will make you even more furious is when we talk about the money that is associated with this entire situation. So Emily Saldea, like I said, the woman who founded the Free Birth Society,
Lock her up.
like yeah, first of all, put that bitch in prison. She's absolutely nuts. But I think for me the question came back to like how did the Free Birth Society, how did Emily convince women that this was like an empowering thing to do? How was she so successful in doing that? And so to kind of understand that, we have to understand a little bit about Emily's background and kind of like how she came to be. So, Emily, she is the founder of the Free Birth Society. Like I said, she is an ex doula. So, in her past life, she used to be a doula. If you are unfamiliar with what a doula is, they are essentially like an emotional support person for pregnant and
No,
postpartum people.
doulas are also trained. They are very
Correct.
aware of the
Yep.
complications that can arise. They
Yes.
understand the medical side of birth.
Yep.
Like that
Doulas
makes
go
it
through
work.
a doulas go through an entire certification program. They have to be like, there are a couple of governing bodies that have those certifications. Like, it is a it is an actual program you go through. So she goes through this doula training. She becomes a doula. She attends tons and tons of birthing processes for women. She goes to hospital births, she does home births, all of that. She eventually develops like an enormous YouTube presence. She also starts a podcast, which like super detrimental, and was essential to like her success with the Free Birth Society. She comes actually from a like medical family, which is insane. Her
God,
mom
if
was
you're
an
listening to
OB.
this, you need to just switch over to YouTube because my face.
It's insane. Her mom was an
Hey,
OB. Her
what?
mom was literally an OB nurse.
Shut the
Yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah. And then her
I hope
dad
her
was
mom
like a
has this on.
medical, yeah, her mom then her dad was like a medical sales device
You haven't even given
person.
me, you've given me nothing more than this one anecdotal story, and I'm like, fuck this lady, and I can't believe. What do you mean?
So a couple of the claims that Emily makes that are pretty wild, that ultimately lead to her kind of starting this Free Birth Society, is she's anti ultrasound. She falsely claims that ultrasounds harm babies. And she promotes what is called wild pregnancy. Mallory, do you want to take a guess at what wild pregnancy means?
I mean, it sounds like it means you just don't have any type of medical oversight or intervention or understanding throughout the duration of your pregnancy, which is extremely dangerous. But
That's
okay.
right. It's a pregnancy without any kind of prenatal care. So basically, the Guardian does this investigation. They're giving all this.
It's
I
so
know, I
bad.
know, I know. And you have a baby in your arms. This is perfect.
I'm just
So
sitting here thinking, like, if it wasn't for prenatal care, I might be dead.
yeah, fully. Like, yeah,
Like,
prenatal care
legitimately.
saves people's lives, and it saves both women and children's lives. So Stacey Ferris, who she is a forensic accountant that the Guardian had talked to, she suggests that the revenue from the Free Birth Society has exceeded $13 million since 2018. So we'll talk a little bit about like what those revenue streams look like. But now would be a great time to introduce Emily's business partner, who is also fucking insane. And her name is Yolanda Norris Clark.
You know what? The only other famous Yolanda killed Selena.
Is the one who killed Selena. I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. When I read her name, I go, not
No
good.
Yolandas around
We don't
here.
fuck with Yolanda.
Mm-mm.
So Yolanda is, I believe, currently pregnant with her 11th child. So she has, yeah, over 10 children. So she would attend kind of a similar like background. She was like a doula. She would attend births with this really famous midwife, Gloria LeMay, who I actually like had never heard of. But Gloria LeMay is currently awaiting trial for manslaughter charges associated with a birth that she attended in 2024. So
There
not
it
great.
is. Okay.
So Yolanda also has done free birthing with like a vast majority of her children. I want to say like over 9 of them have been
I,
like free births. So
I was gonna
um
say, I'm surprised that
yeah.
Yolanda is still with us with that many
Yes.
births.
Yeah, she even publicly wrote about not resuscitating her non-breathing newborn in 2019. Yeah, she kind of a cornerstone of the Free Birthing Society is that they believe that if a baby comes into this world and is not breathing, or if the baby God forbid, dies or the mom dies, that is like just a part of the process. That like death is not necessarily a quote bad outcome. So that
I'm
is like
sorry,
the
when you have 9 other children?
correct. Yeah,
What
correct.
a psychotic take.
I know. I know. It's crazy. Um
Are
yeah,
we in Little House
so
on the Prairie? Like, what is
so they start the Free Birth Society and they're like, well, how are we going to monetize this? Because it actually develops into a really robust like Facebook group. And essentially, and then so it's the Facebook group and then the podcast. And Emily has a huge YouTube presence. So they're like, how are we going to monetize this? Eventually, they take down the Facebook group and make it like a paid only group that people have to join, which is like not cheap. It's a couple $100s to like be a part of this group. And essentially, in that group, they give like, advice to women who are trying free birthing. They end up developing like a program that you can follow that they end up selling for, I mean, a pretty penny. I think it's like $400. And that goes crazy, sells millions and millions of copies. They make millions of dollars off of this like free birthing like plan, essentially.
which
So,
for what it's worth, although that's horrendous to encourage people to deny medical attention and advice, it's not uncommon that random people create courses and stuff, even if they are not qualified to do so. Although the sad
right.
part is that this woman, having gone through doula certification, actually was qualified
Yeah.
and just crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely. And they go as far to develop a course that is like their sort of Cadillac of courses, and it's about 6 grand, I believe, to take this course. Essentially, this course allows you to become one of the people who would be leading a woman through a free birth. So like akin to a midwife, and they call it becoming a true midwife or like an authentic midwife, even though in most states, a midwife is somebody who has had medical training of some kind or has to be accompanied by a medical practitioner in order to deliver a baby, etc.
So you're just talking to this person because you can't intervene? What is their
Yeah,
role?
so yeah,
Yeah.
they encourage no intervention like from the midwife, I'm using quotes with that. They encourage like little to no intervention from their standpoint. These are people who are meant to essentially just support the mother through the free birthing process. They don't really like touch her or get involved in that capacity. If something's going wrong, they essentially will say things like, this is normal. This is what your body's supposed to do. Things like that, that are like trying to guide the woman through birth. There is a sincere interest in increased interest in free birthing, especially in places like the US, where the maternal mortality rate, as we know, is the highest of all developed nations. Experts have highlighted multiple factors here. So, the lack of midwife led care, it's very difficult to find a midwife. Usually, a midwife comes with an out of pocket cost associated with it. Hiring a doula comes with an out of pocket cost associated with it. The lack of universal health care and kind of like a broader distrust in traditional medical practitioners. So, they really like preyed upon this desire that women had to experience childbirth differently, but in a way that was, well, just that, predatory. So,
It's sounding very Maha adjacent.
yes, and we'll get into that in just a moment here. So,
Okay.
yes, it's very, very Maha adjacent. Good on you for making that connection. So, Emily claims that another kind of piece of this is sort of like the claims that Emily makes throughout the birthing process or the pregnancy process. So, Emily claims that things like membrane ruptures, breech babies, and even gestational diabetes were, quote, nothing for mothers to worry about. So this is a woman who's giving this advice, by the way, in these groups. Like there's texting, there's in the Guardian article, there is text screenshots of conversations women have had with Emily, women who have said, crazy shit like, I've been in labor now for 5 days. What do you think I should do? There's one woman who had like substance on the floor that was like foul smelling after like 6 days in labor. One woman even went to 44 weeks gestation. So, like, these are women who are waiting to go into labor on their own and then going through like an incredibly strenuous days, sometimes weeks long labor process to experience free birthing. So, it's
Assuming to the detriment of their child.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, more
Right?
often than
Like,
not
I
to
mean,
the mhm.
is there a count of how many women have had, are you gonna get
Yes.
there? Had
I'm gonna
stillbirth
yeah,
or
I'll give
oh,
I'll
Jesus
give you the count. Oh yeah.
Christ. Jeez.
There's a lot of yeah. Oh yeah. There's so much to uncover here. I won't even scratch the surface in this episode. There is so much. There is I I was on Instagram for a egregious amount of time, like looking at people's profiles who are in the free birth world. Yeah, crazy. Another cornerstone that I like kind of alluded to of this free birth society of FBS is radical responsibility, which radical responsibility sounds a lot like what the Maha movement
Mhm.
preaches, which is like this
Just buy
concept of
healthier food.
yes, of like total responsibility for oneself and no one else. Like no one else really matters. Like we're not looking at the collective, we're just looking at ourselves. So they really encourage this concept of like radical responsibility. It is taught for women in the FBS courses as a way for women to work through their like birth fears. So, for example, if I die or if my baby dies, I would take full responsibility. Things like that. So that's kind of what they encourage. And my
This is
theory,
them pre
getting out
prep.
of a lawsuit.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
them like mentally prepping people to not turn around and go, "Oh my God, you told me to do this."
Yeah, absolutely. And I
It's a
think they
cult.
must
This is
have
psychological warfare. Oh my God.
yes, absolutely.
Ah!
I don't think that I really should go onto their website and see if I can find like the courses and stuff. I would be so fascinated to know what attorney, if any, helped them put together their terms and conditions piece of like what you click before you buy their course because I bet it is fucking nuts. I bet it is just absolutely crazy. And so because of that, because of this that piece and this sort of like radical responsibility piece, these women are left to not have anybody to like blame for what
Yeah.
happens during this process. So, let's go back really quick to Yolanda,
Wait, Yolanda is Emily's business partner
her
again.
business partner. That's right. So, Yolanda believes one of the beliefs that I found most fascinating about her is she believes in this thing called German New Medicine, which is the premise. I had never heard of this. It's the premise that disease is not caused by pathogens, but by unresolved emotional issues. So your disease is not caused by anything viral or any pathogen. It's strictly you that's doing that. So again, it sort of like comes back to this like how
It's
do we
all
blame
anti-science. Yeah.
right. It's anti-science. It's like how do we blame the woman as much as possible and wrap it up under this guise of like empowerment,
This
so to
is
speak.
stressing me out. This might
It's
be
very intense.
this might be the most stressed I've ever genuinely
I'm
been.
so sorry. I
And
really can't I can't wait for the documentary though. Like whenever that happens. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be good.
okay, so diseases caused by your emotional state.
Got it. Checks notes. Perfect. Another piece of this is that there are no backup plans involved in free birthing. So if you are somebody who like develops a plan, like if X happens, take me here.
Uh-huh.
If something happens to baby, do this. Those are also seen as like a moral failure within the free birth society. So you can't plan for the worst. Discussing hospitals is banned within their group. So if somebody makes a comment and says, should I go to the hospital? Emily will go into the group and delete the comment.
Here's my question. Okay, we've already like we've already established that this should be illegal.
Hmm.
And but so if you're the midwife who's trained, the I'm midwife in quotes, who's trained to walk people through a free birth, if that
Hmm.
woman starts dying in front of you, you're not supposed to call an ambulance? You just watch someone die?
So what they do, it's so the term that they use is called a quote radical birth keeper. Sorry, it's not they, but they frame it as a as what they call the authentic midwife. So radical birth keeper is what you are eventually called when you complete the, $1 trillion course that you have to do through FBS. So radical birth keepers, their job is like essentially it's just untrained birth support. But what they said in this article was that a majority of the course in becoming like a radical birth keeper is about building your business, is a business plan, is like how you get on social media and promote yourself. How do you take payment? How do you like a lot of people are
So it's
encouraged.
also like a pyramid? Do they have to pay into? You don't tell me that.
Not that I'm aware of, not that
You're
I'm
not
aware
like
of that they like
franchised out from the free birth.
I don't think they're like franchised, but it
Pepper
wouldn't surprise me.
snorted at that, so she agrees. That's insane.
Yes. Yeah. But basically, like their job is to remain sort of hands off, but provide like, kind of that sort of emotional support, but like not like just kind of being like, this is what your body's supposed to do. And there were a few people who said like they had been to births where they did call an ambulance, like they called a paramedic because they were like, I can't I can't be here and witness this. And then like,
Yeah, because that's like you want to talk about a moral failure.
yeah.
It would be absolutely a moral failure to look at someone dying
Hmm.
and just
Hmm.
and like be like, my commitment to the Free Birth Society is more important than
Hmm.
this person's life.
Another thing they were encouraged to do was if there was an ambulance called or if there was like a hospital scenario that happened, Emily would encourage these women to give a fake name, uh, not say that they were like a midwife or anything like that. Like just be like, I'm just a friend, fake name. And because of like the sort of controversy of it all, they were to only accept cash gifts after a successful birth.
Yeah, they didn't
So
want anything
if
traced back to her.
Right.
The
So if
rocket
anything happened during the birth, they were not supposed to accept or not encouraged to accept cash gifts. So she of course, yeah, would tell them give fake names, don't talk to the police, things like that if there was like a report that had to be made because one thing I didn't know is that if you don't intervene while a child or like an infant is, I'm going to butcher this like phrasing, while they are essentially dying, you will be charged with it's manslaughter. So,
Yeah.
so that I think was a play for her to also get out of any responsibility for all of that. So, yeah, that's crazy. You asked about the number of births that had been talked about for as being stillbirths, etc. So the Guardian was able to identify 48 cases of late term stillbirths or neonatal deaths that had happened as a result of Free Birth Society.
And this is from 2018, or that's just when they began monetizing?
So I'm not necessarily sure when the Guardian was like tracking those exact dates, but even if you look at just 2018 to now or 2019 to now when they really started to like make a lot of money, that's an insane amount because then you also think of, well, who are the women who are publicly sharing that information? A lot of women, if they go through FBS and they experience a loss, a lot of women had said they would not share that information because it was considered like they thought they failed type of thing. So
I was
that's
gonna
what we
say it's probably
know.
safe to say that's like a third.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say that's an incredibly low estimate. And then you think about like how many recorded births there were. So if you only record say 600 births, free births during that time period, and 48 of those resulted
Do not.
in the death of a child, that is an insane statistic. So just like for context as to how crazy this shit is.
I'm
So Yeah.
I'm just baffled that the pro-life movement has not latched onto this and caused a scene.
Mhm.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And it I think just goes to show again like how little we support women because you know, there were a few women who were in my opinion gracious enough to offer their stories to the Guardian about being in FBS and like what that resulted in for them. One woman talked about the death of her child. One woman discussed the boy that we talked about at the beginning of this episode. Yeah, there's a lot of women who offered their stories for this piece, and I feel very deeply for these people because I think one woman even said and is quoted in the article as saying, "You don't expect to join a cult, but that's exactly what happened." And like, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, you know, and it it makes you consider like the cult of fill in the blank of every other cult that has ever existed, you know, even MAGA. Like I think about that a lot. So it's very it's very intense to like go through this and make a lot of parallels to like how we treat women in America, why women would resort to something like this. Like what yeah, it's just insane. So I highly encourage everybody to read the Guardian's article on this. It is an incredible, incredible piece of journalism. One other thing I will include here that I find to be fucking insane. So Yolanda, the woman who was Emily's business partner. So, like I said, they don't believe in fetal resuscitation. So, um, because of this, Yolanda practiced what she preached. So she free birthed her eighth child in 2019. He was born, quote, limp, unmoving, and grayish white. And she held him and waited. And she said, quote, had I intervened to accelerate his revival, this would have deprived him of his ownership over his vital and truly enlivening experience of transitioning independently to full incarnation.
So how
So,
come she's not
yeah.
in, is she in
Are
jail?
these people not in prison? Yeah, great
Because she
question.
didn't
So,
intervene.
yeah. And she wrote that in 2023. I think one thing to note here is I believe, and I could be totally off on this. I think Yolanda is based in Canada, and I think Emily is based here. And
Mm.
so I don't know what that means for that aspect, but yeah, it is a true wonder how these women are not in prison. And I wouldn't be shocked if they do end up there soon as a result of this entire piece of journalism. I really find it uh, deeply concerning that people think this is normal. People think that like people think this is even an option, I think is the issue. That women
Yeah.
who are looking for a more natural, quote, alternative to hospital birthing, whatever, like the fact that free birth would even be on a list, you know, next to a midwife led birth, next to a home birth, next to a birthing center, like anything like that, I think is pretty diabolical. So, yeah.
Well, and the other element that we didn't even touch on, and this is so wild, Maggie, thank you. Well, I'll say thank you for bringing this to my attention with the caveat that this is
Girl, you
crazy.
are welcome for the deep dive you're about to
This
go
is
on.
crazy. Um, but the thing we didn't even touch on is, and I don't know if the Guardian spoke to people around these women, but I can't imagine my husband being like, this sounds like a good idea. Uh, so the levels of like psychological manipulation that had to transpire for these women to eventually agree to put themselves in this position is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And I feel really sorry for them.
Mhm.
I have a lot of compassion because, as I have mentioned, when you become pregnant, you start getting inundated
Yep.
online specifically with information and alternative ways to do things and
Mhm.
stop shaming moms for sleeping in the bed with their kids. Like, I mean, there's just all this stuff that you are fed constantly. And I know, I think I've noted this before, but what I've started to notice, especially when it comes to children and the information that I'm being fed, is that there are multiple accounts who have the exact same copy, who say the exact
Yeah.
same things.
Right.
These are the three things I've learned since starting to breastfeed my child. One, two, three. It's the exact same copy. So you
Yeah.
start getting that stuff fed to you, and before long, it starts to sound normal, or like maybe
Yeah.
I'm crazy for thinking this is not a good thing, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. So I have a lot of compassion for the women who ended up in these scenarios, I guess.
Yeah. Same.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm also just really curious about where the people in their lives were to go, hey,
Yeah.
hey, 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 hey. Hospitals are there for a reason. What are we
Yeah.
talking about? Yeah.
I think it's interesting because it's framed as FBS is framed as such a like quote empowering experience, right? So I think a lot of these people who were around these women were like, well, we have been taught that we should not intervene with a woman's decision on how she gives birth, which is correct. You women should be allowed to make the decision of how they give birth without causing harm to their infant or to themselves. Like that, I think that is like I was floored when this article had no mention of women dying during the childbirth process. That part to me was
That
insane.
doesn't,
I
it
was
almost doesn't seem
it
complete.
statistically it doesn't seem possible. Like
Right.
yeah, and I think that I wouldn't be shocked if there's, a thorough follow-up piece to
Mhm.
this article, but um I think when I had compared like, cults and I compared like this to even the cult of MAGA, it's like I think the glaring difference though is that like, well, A, I have way more compassion for these women than I do people who are Donald Trump supporters, but that's neither here nor there. I think birth is such a giving birth, being pregnant, children, all of that is such a like tender topic and it's so special and unique to the woman and um should be treated as a completely unique experience for each woman. And so I think when you are preying on the most vulnerable and most you know terrifying and also exciting and like liberating maybe time for women, it's like I can understand how it gets to that. I can totally see like how this pipeline of like holistic wellness begins to take you down a path of like, oh, well, maybe I'll just do this myself, especially if you've had a traumatic first birth or second birth or whatever in a hospital setting, in a space where like you no longer trust doctors or, whatever. I even more understand it then. So it's really fascinating. And I think like the women who spoke for this article are incredibly brave. I think that could not have been easy to talk about, surely. And they even said a couple of them that they still get, comments and messages and things like that of people being like, you're an awful person and, whatever. And it's like, well, really, we should look at the people who created this in the first place. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
that
And
is,
also, how hard must it be to like come out of it and be like, oh my God, what did I do?
and like live with
Because
that,
because
yeah,
you've watched your friends give birth this past year, not just me, but other people, like the amount of time and energy and care that goes into, and it's it goes by fast, but it also goes by slow.
yeah,
Pregnancy
totally.
pregnancy is both at the same time, and you've
Hmm.
watched your friends, prepare the nursery over time and
Hmm.
carefully curate their registry and what they want to, use for their baby. So to go through that experience in the free birth movement or society or whatever, and then come out of it, like deconstruct and be like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I was duped. And
Hmm.
because of that, my child's not here. That would be
Yeah. Yeah.
really difficult to unpack.
Hmm.
I don't know how I would do that. And so,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely. Yeah, it's an absolutely bonkers topic. And yeah, that's the Free Birth Society. So yeah, there you have it, folks. It's fucking crazy.
That's really
Um,
wild.
yeah.
Thank you so much
So
for this riveting. information.
I highly encourage you to go on an Instagram deep dive after this, maybe on like a burner account, just so you don't fuck up your algorithm.
Jesus.
But it is pretty wild. And there's, it should be noted, this is not the only person. These women are not the only people who are kind of like free birth advocates. There are a lot of them out there. And so I think it's really important that now more than ever that we are educating women as much as possible and giving them the tools and resources they need, like paid maternity leave and universal health care and access to resources and food and shelter and fill in
And
the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank,
and
and.
and
Yeah. So there you have it. Free Birth Society on our shit list.